This is the review for the Unit 1 geometry test, which will be on Monday. It's not going to be on Tuesday. It's going to be on Monday. I think you guys are going to do great. But remember that you can come in to A215 or A151 and find me, and I will help answer any questions. If you want to send me an email over the course of the weekend, I will check my email periodically. My email is Ann_Sexton@mcpsmd.org. So I'm going to go through the questions. Hopefully this will be clear. But again, if you have other questions afterwards, please feel free to ask me. Your homework this weekend is to study. So starting with number 1, which of the following is not one of the undefined terms of geometry? Well, there's 3 undefined terms. One is a point, and in geometry, a point has no dimension, has no actual size. So even though we represent a point with a dot, the point has no length, width, or thickness. All right, so even if we make a really tiny dot on a piece of paper, it still has a thickness. There's no way for us to actually represent a point in real life, which is why it's an undefined term. Another undefined term of geometry is a line. So in geometry, a line has no thickness, but its length extends in one dimension and goes on forever in both directions. All right, so we can't really represent a line in real life since it goes on and on and on forever. Finally, we have the third undefined term of geometry, which is a plane. A plane in geometry has no thickness but extends indefinitely in all directions. So even though a diagram of plane has edges, you actually have to remember that there are no boundaries, and so it's very hard, well actually it's impossible to represent this in real life. So a point, line, and a plane are the 3 undefined terms of geometry. So the answer to this question is angle. A line segment on a number line has one endpoint of -12. The length of the segment is 32. Which of the following are the possible coordinates of the other endpoint? So when I start with -44, this is one endpoint, and I'm looking at what the length is to go from -44 to -12. If you subtract 44 minus 12, you're going to get 32, which is its distance. Remember, distance cannot be negative. So to go from -12 to -44, we're subtracting 32. Or to go from -44 to -12, we're adding 32. To go from -20 to -12, hopefully you can see easily that that is a distance of 8. 20 to -12. Now remember, we've got this benchmark of 0. So from -12 to 0 is a length of 12. And from 0 to 20 is a length of 20. So a length of 12 plus 20 is 32. And finally, we have 44. I'll do it over here. 44 to -12. Again, we've got this benchmark of 0. So to go from 44 to 0 is a length of 44. And to go from 0 to -12 is a length of 12. So to go from 44 to -12 is a length of 44 plus 12, which is 56. The question is asking, the length of the segment is 32, so what are the possible coordinates? Therefore, -44 to -12 works, and 20 to -12 works. So 1 and 3 work, therefore our answer is G. Moving on to question 3. We've got this figure below, and angles ABD, so this angle right here, and ABC form a linear pair. What is the measure of angle ABD? So if they form a linear pair, what do you notice? Hopefully you're saying that this becomes a straight line, and a straight line has how many degrees? 180. So we know that angle ABD plus angle ABC equals 180 degrees. Well, angle ABD is 5x minus 60, and angle ABC is 3x plus 40. And we know that this equals 180. So 5x plus 3x, we're going to combine like terms. 5x plus 3x is 8x, and negative 60 plus 40 is negative 20, and that equals 180. If I add 20 to both sides, 8x is going to equal 200, and then when I divide by 8 on both sides, I get a value of x equals 25. 25 is not my answer. Always go back and read your question. The question says, what is the measure of angle ABD? So the measure of angle ABD is actually 5x minus 60, and we know that x equals 25, so we're going to substitute it in, and 5 times 25 minus 60 will give us our answer. So 5 times 25 is 125, and 125 minus 60 is 65. So the measure of angle ABD is D, 65. Question number 4. A point in the coordinate plane is located at the point XY. A glide reflection is performed on the point by translating 3 units to the left, then reflecting the result across the y-axis. So we're translating 3 units to the left and reflecting the result across the y-axis. So let's start with the translating 3 units to the left. That's in this direction, which means it's a horizontal translation. Remember that our horizontal translations change our value of x. So just taking into consideration this translating 3 units to the left, we have xy, and it's turning into x, and since we're going to the left, which is the negative, x minus 3y. After we have that, we can look and see that we are reflecting across the y-axis. Remember, if this is our coordinate plane, and I have a point here, I'm reflecting it across the y-axis, so it's going to become over here. Therefore, my y is staying the same, but my x is becoming negative. So what happens is that my x, which is x minus 3, is actually becoming negative, and my y stays the same. If we simplify this, we have negative x plus 3, comma y, or we have 3 minus x, comma y, which is h. A line segment, number 5, a line segment connects the origin to the point 5, 5. All right, so we have a coordinate plane, we have the origin, which is 0, 0, and this point 5, 5. And we have a line segment. So a line segment connects the origin to the point 5, 5. After the segment is rotated, the slope of the segment is 0. Sorry, it's just 0. I don't know why I was about to say degrees. So after the segment is rotated, the slope of the segment is 0. Which of these could be the angle of rotation? So what does it mean when the slope is 0? When the slope is 0, we have a horizontal line. Remember, vertical lines give you an undefined slope, but a vertical line gives you a slope of 0. So I want to know how far am I rotating to get this line segment right here to be a line segment like this. So I want to see where is it rotating to suddenly get me a line segment like this. Well, we know that this is 90 degrees, and if you think of a triangle, we know that this is 5 and this is 5. And hopefully, unless I'm jumping ahead and this is something you haven't learned yet, which very easily could be, because it's 5 and 5, this is a 45, 45, 90 degree triangle. If I've totally confused you, don't worry. What I'm going to say is this. By process of elimination, we know it can't be 90 degrees because the line segment would have to start here. We know it can't be 180 degrees because the line segment would be here. And we know it can't be 360 degrees because it would be the same line segment that we started with. So by process of elimination, our answer is going to be A. Sorry if I went too far with the 45, 45, 90 degree triangle, but that's coming sometime this year if you haven't learned it already. So for question number 6, we're given another drawing, and we're told that QR, which is this line, or this ray, this ray right here is an angle bisector of PQS. So my first question would be, what is an angle bisector? That keyword bi means 2, so it's splitting angle PQS into 2 equal angles. So we know angle PQR is the same as angle RQS. These angles are equal. So they want to know what is the measure of PQS. They want to know what's the measure of this entire angle. Well, we need to find out what x is first. So what we know is that 2x plus 40 must equal 5x plus 10 due to the fact that it's an angle bisector. Solving that, I'm going to subtract 2x. I have 40 equals 3x plus 10. Take away 10, that gives me 30 equals 3x, and therefore x equals 10. So now that I know x, I need to find out what these two angles are. If I know what this angle is and I know what this angle is, I can add them together to get this total angle. So I'm going to plug in. I have 2 times 10 plus 40, which is 20 plus 40, which is 60. And I have 5 times 10 plus 10, which is 50, plus 10, which is 60. Did I actually have to go and solve both? No, because I knew it was an angle bisector. If I had one, then I would know the other. But a good thing about the fact that I just solved for both shows me that I have the value of x that makes both angles equal. So it's a way to check my solution. Anyways, I have 60 plus 60, and that equals 120. Don't forget grid in. You put one number in each box. I don't know if you'll actually have a grid in on your test, but just in case, circle or bubble in the numbers for each column, and you have 120. For question number 7, points P, Q, and R are collinear, with Q between P and R. So collinear means on the same line. So I have points P, Q, and R, and I know one point is in between. Because I know Q is between P and R, I'm going to label my line like this. Knowing that all of these are on the same line tells us that they're collinear. Now I know that PQ is 5x plus 30, QR is 3x plus 80, and I know that PR is 10x plus 20. I want to know what is the length of PR. Essentially, I want to know what is 10x plus 20, which means I need to know what x is. So what I do know, I don't know if Q bisects P and R. I don't know anything except for the fact that they're on the same line. So what I do know is that this section plus this section will give me this section. Therefore, 5x plus 30 plus 3x plus 80 is going to equal 10x plus 20. So 5x plus 3x, again, we're combining like terms. 5x plus 3x is 8x, and 30 plus 80 is 110. and that equals 10x plus 20. Now I'm going to solve this equation by subtracting 8x on both sides. You might solve it differently. 110 equals 2x plus 20. I'm going to subtract 20 on both sides and get 90 equals 2x. And that's going to give me, by dividing by 2, x equals 45. So I know x is 45. But that is not the answer to my question, because the question is saying, what is the length of PR? So we need to find what 10x plus 20 is. So PR is 10x plus 20. 10 times 45 plus 20 is going to give me PR. 10 times 45 is 450 plus 20, which tells me that PR is 470. And you can bubble that into your grid in as well. Question number 8 is a BCR. It says triangle A prime, B prime, C prime is the result of two transformations of triangle ABC. Triangle ABC is first transformed using the function fxy equals yx. Then that result is transformed using the function gxy equals x negative y. Draw triangle A prime, B prime, and C prime and label its vertices. So first of all, I want to just discuss a review. You don't actually need to know what each of these transformations are in this question. You just need to know what to do with the rule. But I want to review anyways. First, we have this transformation fxy equals yx. What transformation switches the x and y coordinate? I want you to know these rules. You should have these memorized for this test. When you switch y and x, you're actually reflecting over the line y equals x. Next, we have gxy, which equals x negative y. This reflection, and keyword reflection, is a reflection over the x-axis. So what this transformation is actually asking for is two reflections. But as I said, we don't need to do that. Let's first write what our points A, B, and C are. A is -1 and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So -1, 5. B is -1, 2, 3, 4. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So B is -4, 5. And finally, C is -1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and up 1. So -5, 1. These are what we're starting with. Our first transformation is switching the y and the x. So we're going to switch each y with their x's. So I have 5, -1, I have 5, -4, and I have 1, -5. Our next transformation is switching the y to its negative, or as I emphasized yesterday, to its opposite. So we now have 5, 1. We have 5, 4. And we have 1, 5. So it asks you to draw triangle A prime, B prime, C prime, and label its vertices. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up 1. This is A prime. I have 5 and up 1, 2, 3, 4. This is B prime. And I have 1 and up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is C prime. And this gives us our triangle A prime, B prime, C prime with its vertices labeled. Next, it asks us to describe a single transformation that could be used to transform triangle ABC into triangle A prime, B prime, C prime. Well, if we look, let's just look at coordinate C. I'm starting at -5, 1, and ending at 1, 5. So what's happening is my x and y are switching, and my original x is becoming negative. So the next thing you need to ask yourself is, what kind of transformation is this? And hopefully you're saying that this is 90 degrees, rotation, counterclockwise. So, to clarify yesterday's lesson with the rotations, I just want to explain that when you rotate 90 degrees in either direction, you're switching the x and the y. And if you're rotating in a clockwise direction, the original y becomes negative. When you're rotating in a counterclockwise direction, the original x becomes negative, or you take the opposite of it. So in this case, because our x was, we were taking the opposite of our x, that meant that we were rotating 90 degrees in a counterclockwise direction. So finally, the last part is to represent the single transformation as a function in the form hxy equals blank blank. Use mathematics to justify your answer. So our answer would be y negative x, and the mathematics that you would justify your answer with is all the stuff that we did up here. I would use some words to maybe explain how you went from each transformation, and then when you saw the original coordinates and the end coordinates, you saw that you were switching your x and your y, and you were taking the opposite of x. And that should be a good justification to get you full credit. Number 9 is the last question. Montgomery County wishes to put a firehouse equidistant from the towns as shown in the figure below. Explain the process. Explain the process that you would use to determine where the firehouse should be located. Use word symbols or both in your explanation. Do not perform the construction. Use mathematics to justify that your location is correct. One explanation, although yours might be obviously a little different from mine, is that I would find the perpendicular bisectors for at least 2 of the 3 sides. Remember that the perpendicular bisectors of the sides intersect at one point. I do need to use mathematics to justify that my location is correct. And so another comment I would say is the point of intersection is the center of the circumscribed circle. Remember that this is called the circumcenter. So it is, let me keep moving this. So it is equidistant from the 3 vertices. This would be a good enough explanation. And that's the review. I want to make another couple comments before I end this video just about what you need to know for the test. Do not solely rely on this review. This is just one thing that will help lead you to the type of questions you need to know. Go back over any quizzes that you may have done. I'm not sure what's been done in class. Go over homeworks. Go through the packet. Remember vocabulary like collinear and skew and point, line, and plane. Remember that for constructions, we have angle bisectors, and the intersection of the angle bisectors is the incenter. The intersection of the perpendicular bisectors of the sides is the circumcenter. The intersection of the medians is the centroid. The intersection of the altitudes of the triangle is the orthocenter. You need to go back and study everything, not just what was on this review. I think if you do that over the weekend, you will do fine on the test. Please come in Monday prepared to take it. And I wish you all the best of luck. And remember that if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask me. All right, thank you.